right. So I hope this finds you well, wherever you are. If you happen to be watching this video, wherever you're at, I hope you are having a wonderful day, a wonderful, whatever you're watching this. As of right now, where I'm at, it is Friday, a beautiful Friday, absolutely gorgeous outside in September. Definitely like the second day of autumn officially, second day of fall. So I hope you're having a wonderful day. So welcome. So today I'm going to try to make it super quick video. We are talking about risk and reward. And what kind of came from this was I was actually watching or listening to, so I love podcasts, and I'm sure you do as well. I enjoy listening to them while I'm working or whatnot. And I actually was listening to a relatively newer one on Spotify that's called Bad Blood, the Final Chapter. And it is all about the very fascinating Elizabeth Holmes case. So if you don't know who Elizabeth Holmes is, you definitely, I'm sure you do. But if you don't, this is a very, very interesting case. And it is, Elizabeth Holmes was the founder of Theranos, which was a biotech company, which was looking to really revolutionize the whole lab industry. So right now, apparently you need a lot of blood when you're testing for different diseases and whatnot. You need a lot of blood, like tubes of blood to get tested. And especially for people that have to keep getting tested, especially, and are constantly prone to this. It's very, it can be painful and problematic. And I guess it probably, you have to, because you are giving certain higher quantities of blood, I'm sure that has ramifications for diet and making sure you're at the right energy level and all that sort of thing. But she was claiming to be able to test for a lot of diseases with a fraction of that amount of blood. So literally, I think like a little thimble-sized amount, which is apparently unheard of. There's no technology that is at this time that's able to test for a wide variety of diseases reliably with so little blood. They need a bigger sample. So that's basically what her company claimed to do. And it had these little, and also the machines that were supposed to do it were also very small, supposedly. So she basically took the world by storm. She incited every single venture capitalist you could find. And basically through investment alone, she became the world's youngest female self-made billionaire, which is a freaking amazing achievement. Especially I'm the same age, and I'm like, I would love to claim that yes, we have, Gen Y female self-made billionaire in her own right. Like, not a billionaire because her daddy was a billionaire, not a billionaire because she married a billionaire, but someone who actually is a billionaire in her own right, that is female and that is of our generation. So I definitely would have been very excited if she would have succeeded. But apparently, it's now found out through the journalist John Carreyrou, I believe, from the New York Times, I believe, who investigated and blew the story wide open that, in fact, these machines could not do anything that they claimed to do. It was all a lie. Basically, she was running a whole fake it till you make it sort of deal, which is very popular in Silicon Valley when you're dealing with technology, apparently. But when you're talking about people's lives and you're talking about actually medical equipment, then that's a whole other thing. Like, you're dealing with the FDA, you're dealing with basically bloodborne diseases and pathogens and stuff like that. That's not good. That's scary. And that's something that probably can't be allowed. So say what you will about her. It is, you can't really do that with medical equipment. So she's on trial, a criminal trial right now. Long story short, it's kind of a long around way, but she is up. And the author, the New York Times journalist, John Carreyrou, who blew the story open, he actually has a podcast And by the way, if you haven't heard of the story, like I only heard of it recently. While it's funny, like while she was starting up billion-dollar tech companies, I was like couldn't even pay my phone bill. So, but it's interesting to see how things turned out. But if you don't know anything about the case, I definitely recommend. I think it might be on Prime. It was on Prime at one point. It might not be, but there's a really good. There's a bunch of stuff on YouTube that are really good. But there's a really good documentary called, I think it's called The Invest. Oh, geez, I forget. There's a really good. It's an HBO. It's an HBO documentary about her. But anyway, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, so I'm listening to a podcast by John Carreyrou about this, and it's really, really well done podcast. And one thing that apparently has happened was she was offered a plea deal so that she could just pretty much plead guilty. They give her a punishment which is smaller because she's pleading guilty, and then she would take it and then just go on with her life. And for some reason, she actually said no. She said she would actually take a gamble and go to trial. And here we are. And what's funny is, what was interesting was John Carreyrou said, he was asked, like, why don't you think she did that? And his response was that basically she has an unusually high risk tolerance. And that phrase kind of stuck out to me, an unusually high risk tolerance. So I kind of just started thinking like about that. And if certainly makes sense for her behavior. She's used to engaging in high risk behavior, and because she's had it pay off for so long. So she's really willing to roll that gamble again. Why the hell not? Totally fits her personality. But I'm also thinking, as far as the average risk tolerance, what sort of is the average level of risk tolerance that we all tolerate? And I've come to the conclusion that it's pretty low, that most people do not have a high risk tolerance at all. And we tend to read about the people that do. So I wanted to ask you today, the topic of today's conversation, I'm trying not to keep it too long, is how risky are you? How risky is your behavior? What's your relationship with risk? So what is risk? So according to dictionary.com, risk is defined as a situation involving exposure to danger. All right, so it's a situation involving exposure to danger. So that, by that definition, all right, that sounds like something that you don't really want to have any involvement with whatsoever. And even look at the whole Elizabeth Holmes case. Like, clearly this is someone who exhibits very risky behavior, and it put other people potentially in danger. She was willing to risk everything to develop this technology that would be able to hopefully revolutionize the medical industry. But in doing so, the reason she's on trial is because she put different people's lives in danger, in that she's testing them for different diseases. But because these machines were not working and were not reliable, she basically was, number one, just exposing people to all sorts of faulty disease test results, which, number one, there's both ways. If you're getting a negative test and you're actually positive, especially if that's a communicable disease, that is a huge health risk. You're literally thinking you're negative and you're going around and spreading a disease to how many people? And the other way, if you think that you are negative, and or you think you're positive and you're actually negative, you're now going to start taking a lot of other drugs. You're starting to make life decisions based on a result that's not even true. So all sorts of chaos and tragedy could potentially have come from that. Not to mention, she's literally just taking billionaires' money. I mean, I know everyone's not so sad about that aspect, but she really is. She's lying to them, and they think they're investing in actual working technology when they actually were just throwing their money away, and probably can't get it back at this point. I think $900 million, I believe, people have invested, basically $1 billion, and they're probably not going to get that back. So they're potentially going to try to put her in jail. So when you think about that, exposure A situation involving exposure to danger. So that sounds bad, right? But then we also look at one of the most famous phrases of all time, which is fortune favors the bold. So this implies that risk can actually have a good side, that risk can actually get us things. So, which is it? It's both, most likely. So, that's why I kind of wanted to talk about this. And because I think that our relationship to risk actually has a lot to do with our happiness in life. And I really, really wanted to point this out. Okay. I say this, I think this because there is likely something that you really, really want in your life that you don't have or that you're not seeing evidence of right now in your life. And there's a high likelihood of that what you want lies on the other side of risk, lies on the other side of pushing outside of what's comfortable for you and into what you would consider a danger zone. Okay. So, because a lot of what makes us happy can only be gained by risk, by taking a gamble, by being able to be uncomfortable, I think that it's really important that we all really examine our relationship to risk. Okay. So I want to ask you, do you have what you want in your life? And if not, is it because you could be playing too small? Okay, so let's look at an example. For let's say there's a job, for a job that you want, or let's say you have a job that you like that you have right now, or you're looking for another job. So let's say you're at a job and you want to give yourself a raise and you want to ask for more money. Or let's say you found a job that's great for you, that's perfect for you, but you would like more money. Do you take the job as is? Or do you ask for more money? Or do you negotiate this new job? And it's funny, studies show that most people do not ask for more money. Most people do not request a raise. Most people do not negotiate their salaries at all. Why? Because there's risk involved, correct? A lot of people are afraid of the risk of rocking the boat. They're afraid of upsetting the sort of status quo. They're afraid of coming across, especially, unfortunately, studies show, especially women. They're shown as studies show, they're sort of afraid of being seen as not nice, as being seen as someone who could be problematic, as sort of ruffling the feathers of a lot of people who are above you, or simply of being told no. A lot of people are also afraid of being told no, and I think this is a pretty widespread fear. Okay, so what's important to ask is, what's the danger in that? Because most people want more money. Most people could really benefit from more money, through negotiating their salary, or through asking for a raise at a job that they're already at. But most people don't, because most people are afraid of the risk, real or perceived. And technically, that can often play out in our minds the same way. So we'll talk about that in a second. Another example, love. When it comes to, a lot of people would love to ask out someone who they consider more attractive than they are, or consider any more higher class than they are. Someone who's, the saying, out of your league, that sort of a thing. But a lot of people won't ask someone out that is in that category. Most people, studies show, most people won't do it. Why? Again, the risk that there's danger involved. What's the danger? That the person will say no, that the person will pretty much push back. You may get your feelings hurt, feel humiliated, and that's pretty much the danger. That's the risk. Okay. But what if they would say yes? Okay. So the lesson seems to be this: to get what you want, you really have to change your response to danger. You really have to change what you describe as danger. Now, as someone who forever studies the subconscious mind, um, constantly, that's pretty much what I do as an emotional wellness counselor, as a certified consulting hypnotist. I know one thing about the subconscious mind, and that is it it seems to be very, 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 very obsessed with what it considers danger and keeping you safe and away from it. And its definition of danger is very broad. It's actually going to be broader than what the conscious mind considers actual danger. Like when you consciously think of danger, you think of, oh, I'm going to get like physically cut open, arm broken, perhaps die. That sort of a thing is danger. With your subconscious, it tends to put anything that is considered uncomfortable or scary or emotionally taxing into that same category as something that is actually physically hazardous. So, in other words, we don't participate in really pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone to go after things like raises, like negotiating our salary, like asking out the person that we want, like really going for what we want, starting, that side business, thinking that you can actually change things in your life. We don't go after these things because we are afraid of the risk. Often subconsciously, we consider these behaviors to be dangerous. So we tend to play super close. We tend to play super small. And that takes away the anxiety, but often in the long run, it makes us unhappy. It keeps us unhappy because we're not really going for it. And in life, we really need to learn to be more comfortable or push through the discomfort and extend ourselves more, to really take a risk with life in general. Okay. So I want you to, number one, just ask yourself a couple questions as you move through life. So, number one, I want you to ask yourself, what do I really want in this life right now? Like, what do I really want that I don't have? Okay. And think, of course, it'll be different for everyone. There's usually some top ones that come around over and over again, such as, wanting more income, wanting a different career that excites you, that's fun, that you actually are excited to get up for, wanting a exciting, loving relationship, that sort of a thing. Okay. So I want you to ask yourself, what do I want in this life that I don't yet have? Now I want you to ask, number two, where's the danger in going after it? And this is the thing. So obviously we do have to acknowledge the fact that some risks are probably not wise in taking. All right. So that's the issue with gambling, any sort of gambling, right? And it's all about what you're willing to do. But obviously, when it comes to affecting the lives of others, especially the lives of children or dependents that depend on us, I get it. Like, it's not to say that you can't take risk, because people have absolutely taken risk. Who have children, who have dependents, they still push themselves in life, and it came out incredible winners in life. So I don't want you to lean on that as an excuse. Oh, I love to, push the limits in life a little bit, go after what I want, but I have kids, so I'm just going to stay here and just do that. That's one way to live life, but I just don't think that really can be an excuse. There's always ways to be able to take a risk, but still you don't have to gamble your whole hand. Do you know what I mean? But I want you to ask, what is the danger in going after what you want? So when we talked about the raise or negotiating the salary, what's the risk in doing that? So if you were at your job and you want to say, look, I've done a lot of things here and I want to ask for more money. What is the danger in doing that? And if we're really, really honest, even though it feels, oh, I can't do that, if you're really honest, the danger in it is more about your uncomfort, your own discomfort, your own a thing about how other people will see you and react to you moving forward than it is about your actual danger. Okay. And this is something that, again, most people don't do because it involves extending yourself and involves taking a risk and pushing forward. Okay. So, what's the worst case scenario? So, again, in the asking for a raise case, what's the worst case scenario? Is that they say no. So then you go back to what you were doing, and you're pretty much in the same exact situation as you were. You may have your feelings hurt, and that is the crux of the problem. Is we often don't go after those things because of the emotional pain that it may result in, which again your subconscious kind of groups with danger. It doesn't want to get hurt. It doesn't want your body to get hurt. It also doesn't want your feelings to get hurt. So it tends to react to both of those the same way. So you might ask yourself, what's the worst case scenario? Okay. What's the best case scenario? The best case scenario is you're making more money and you're doing better. Okay. So to me, when you take both of those things and you take what is the difference between them, is it worth the risk? I say yes. Yes, it is. Because at the end of the day, you take this risk, you either will end up exactly where you were, but emotionally kind of butthurt, or even in a better situation. So even though it feels like a risk and risky sort of behavior, it's really not. It's more psychological. And that's really most likely the case for a lot of the things that we want in life. Okay. So one thing I want to leave you with too is, again, back to Elizabeth Holmes. This is often the case when people say, when we are encouraged to take more of a risk in life, people often look at a case like Elizabeth Holmes and they say, well, see, that's why we don't take a risk, because look at all these horrible things that can happen, all the terrible things that can happen to you when you put yourself out there and you go hard after something. But we are so conditioned to think the worst case scenario. And this is so big because honestly, society loves to go for blood in that way. No pun intended. They like to really watch for somebody who was she was the golden child at one point. She was absolutely the best person that you can really put forward as the ultimate role model. You had this young woman, self-made billionaire, in her 20s at the time, which is incredible, who now has no money and is probably, I don't know, the way it's looking, could get out of it, but it's looking like she might do some jail time. She might now go from billionaire to no money and in jail, which is how polar opposite can you get? And society eats up a story like that. So they're going to make an example out of her, and be like, look, this is why, you want to play big. Look what can happen. And I think it's it's a cautionary tale. You don't want to take people's lives. You don't want to break the law, certainly. But at the same time, I feel like it can also send the wrong message too, in the sense that if you have big dreams and you go hard and go big, that there are all these people waiting, all these horrible things waiting to happen to you. And I think that's a bad message too. Because I want you to ask now instead of asking, think of all the terrible things that can happen. Ask instead, what are some wonderful things that can happen? What are some amazing things that can happen when I go after what I want? And think about that. And is now my sense of danger, my sense of risk, is it worth what I want? And I think at the end of the day, for a lot of what we want, the answer is yes. So I want you to really go hard after what you want. And it's really important for us to not have such a comfortable existence. And without going too long, again, on my soapbox here and rant, I just believe, especially in our Western society, we have a lot of drugs that come in different forms. Like, for example, we have, how many streaming services do we have at this point? It's getting kind of out of control. That to me, and I believe that absolutely is is pacifying a lot of us. And there's a lot of things that we want in life, but we are just staying small, playing small, and watching, Amazon Prime, Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Discovery Plus, streaming service XYZ minus subtraction. Like, it's getting a little bit out of control. And I believe that it is a drug. And a lot of us are using things like that to kind of play small and kind of come up with excuses for why we aren't really going after our dreams, And I think it's very important. So I think it's really important to really learn to get uncomfortable and to push ourselves to go after what we want. Because you only have one go round that we know of. I believe there's more, but I don't have the proof. So I do have proof, though, that we have this life. So what are you going to do with it? Are you going to play small and think of all the billions reasons why you can't have what you want? Or are you going to play a little bit of a bigger game and take a little bit of risk and put yourself out there, and it can definitely be uncomfortable. I get it. And I am right with you. There's risks that I need to step up and take that I'm working on, but there's also risks that I've done already that I've put myself in situations where it didn't feel real comfortable to do it, but you got to do it, And just like the saying says, fortune favors the bold, no risk, no reward. Okay. So I would definitely encourage you to increase your relationship with risk. Risk can be absolutely a virtue as well. There's, just like everything, it's a polarity, a sliding scale. There's too much, but I think we all need to push the envelope sometimes in parts of our lives to be truly content. And I think it's what we're here to do. Honestly, I think it's that to me is one of the meanings of life is challenge and risk and being able to dance with that and hold the tension with that. All right. So I thank you so much for watching. If you watch this all the way through, I am grateful and I thank you. And I just wish you the best of luck and lots of health and happiness and contentment. So if you like these videos and you enjoy them, definitely make sure you're signed up, subscribe to the I can't speak today. YouTube channel, New World Mind and Spirit. Make sure you are subscribed to the newsletter, which you can find at www.newworldcoaching.org/sign-up. And we, of course, send out a little weekly newsletter as well as little announcements, events, giveaways, free giveaways, and whatnot. Check out my book as well. If you don't know, I am the author of Life Change Now, a 3-step guide to manifesting what you want through the magic of being who you are. Available now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and now audiobook. Very excited about that. And as of the time that I'm doing this, it is September 24th. Definitely, if you would be interested in getting a free audiobook download, we're looking for reviewers as well. For that, definitely reach out to me. You can email me, Keisha@newworldtarot.org, and let me know. And I'll get that up to you and reach out to you. Thank you so much, and be well, stay safe, go for your dreams, go after what you want. You can do it. And it might take getting a little bit uncomfortable, but that's what we're here for. So I'm right with you, rooting for you. We need you to be happy. This world needs you to be happy. So we will see you next time, and take care. All right, bye.